So we're going to continue talking about the develop module in this. I'm going to skip over these buttons for now and we'll come back to them. The first section I want to talk about is the basics section, and you'll probably find that a lot of your editing you'll do in the basics section. I'm going to close the histogram just for now. The first decision you have to make is whether you're going to edit this as a color or black and white photo. For motion, we're going to edit as black and white. So I'm going to click on black and white, and that will automatically convert the photo to black and white. The next thing, you can change the white balance. You'll see when you change the white balance in your color, it will shift the white balance dramatically. Since this project we're editing black and white, it's not going to change the color, but it can affect the contrast and the lightness or darkness of different areas in the photo. So you can adjust that to make the photo look a little bit closer to the way that you want it to. There's no one right answer. Some photos you may want more contrast, some less contrast. It just depends. The next thing we're going to adjust is the exposure and contrast. So I'm going to reopen the histogram. You're going to see we're lacking some areas in our highlights and lights here. Okay, some detail. Or I'm sorry, we're lacking shadows and blacks on this image because it's overexposed. On this image, it's the opposite. We're lacking lights and whites, okay, because it's underexposed. So what we're going to do first is just do a general offset of the exposure to darken it, and you're going to see automatically more detail is spreading out on the histogram. You can change the contrast here as well, more or less. And then you can individually affect the contrast of the highlights, the shadows, the whites, and the blacks as well. So I'm going to reset the contrast here to 0. And I'm going to try to do this individually. So I'm going to darken my highlights a little bit. They're not so bright. And then my shadows are looking a little bit dark here. So I'm going to see maybe I'll brighten those up a little bit. There we go. I can also affect the whites in the photo, brighten it or darken the whites. And I can do blacks as well. So I can darken or I can lighten the blacks. Blacks are darker than shadows, whites are brighter than highlights. The last setting we have under presence is clarity. So clarity is going to basically sharpen and add contrast at the same time if you increase it. Be cautious though about over adding clarity. You can see this starts to make the image really harsh looking, and that's not necessarily what we want. In general, you're not going to decrease clarity because if you do, it's going to make the photo look foggy. If you're trying to retouch skin, you might adjust clarity, but we're going to only do that with the adjustment brush, which we'll learn later. So I'm going to reset this to 0, and then maybe we'll add a little bit of clarity here. I'm also going to zoom in to make sure that didn't make their skin look too choppy and rough looking. And that's the basic section.